Welcome back to another video here in the channel. More Ravens content. A few days ago I uploaded a video talking about the Mike Macdonald hire, defensive coordinator hire. After a week after parting ways with Wink Martindale. So yeah, man. I decided to make a video on what's next. A little bit of an off-season outlook on the Ravens. The season isn't over. It's pretty early. So why not make it now? Last year I waited till maybe 2 weeks after the end of the season in the NFL. This time around I decided to get it out very, very early. And I'm hoping that this offseason I can make some more content. Not only this and then draft grades. So yeah, man. I hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoy the video. If you're new, if it's your first time stopping by, subscribe, click the like button, comment down below your thoughts down below because I want to hear them. And yeah, man, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna go break it down by position. I'm gonna start by quarterback, running back. Like I'm going offense first, and after that defense, and then that's gonna be the video and what we should really do with these positions. So first off here, quarterback wise, with I'm gonna talk about Lamar and then the contract and shit like that. I'm gonna talk about the quarterback room pretty much. So about Lamar, he had some struggles this year. It was really not his fault, but you know, it's still worth noting, you know. So even with that, he got injured. He was playing MVP level till like week 8, but however, he got injured, and then after that, the team just completely collapsed. So his value to this team has went up ever since he got injured. Ever since the beginning of the season, it has gotten up. So what I would do with the quarterback situation, first of all, is try to get Lamar's extension done this offseason. And honestly, within the first second months of the offseason. So yeah, he's not going to be able to negotiate in like mid-season next season. And if we wait till next offseason, it's going to be very, very stressful. It's going to be very last minute. So we shouldn't really wait till the last minute to do that. About quarterback 2, Huntley, I would like to see him get an extension, maybe a tiny extension. He is an exclusive rights free agent, which basically means that the Ravens can keep him for one more year if they want, and they probably will. And like a 3-year, $12 million extension, something like that. He is definitely deserving of $3-4 million a year, and I think it would be worth it as a reliable backup who can improve under the system as well. Third string quarterback, Josh Johnson is fine to keep. Or, a rookie UDFA should be good, should be fine. So, back to Lamar. I'm not going to be one of those fans who think that Lamar isn't the franchise quarterback, because he is. That Lamar and Huntley debate it's over now. I can't wait to see Lamar back next season, healthy. That Lamar and Huntley debate, to be honest, was it was really a waste of time. It was a waste of time because it should have never been a debate in the first place, and it showed. It showed when teams got film on Huntley. It really, really showed. So the next thing I would do right here, fire Greg Roman. And if you want Lamar to improve, fire Greg Roman. He has failed to develop Lamar as a quarterback. and we just need to change things up. Yeah, some of the mistakes Lamar makes is because of his decision making, but there's also some of the mistakes he makes that are because of the fact Greg Roman is a run heavy kind of guy. He doesn't like to pass the ball all that much. And he's not only a bad offensive coordinator for this team, his time is simply over. This offense has outgrown Greg Roman heavily, and it's not even funny at this point. He has peaked as the Ravens OC. He has peaked, so it's pretty much it. And on top of that, his passing schemes are very, very bad. You have receivers running into each other, routes that are way too close to each other, and literally just not respecting the rules of football. Simply that. Not respecting the rules of football. He does not know how to scheme a good passing game, and it shows. Hop on film, you'll see a bunch of mistakes, a bunch of mistakes. He can't even beat cover 0. He can't even adjust against cover 0. So, no reason keeping him at all. So, yeah, he's back in 2019. He was the perfect offensive coordinator for this team. When we had the best team in all of football. And, of course, very disappointing performance in the playoffs. Greg Roman and the offense seem to have a disconnect somewhere. Lamar, Rashad, and many more seem like they don't agree with the way Roman does things. You would see at times where you'd see videos of Greg Roman trying to talk to Lamar in practice, and Lamar's seeming like he didn't even want to talk to him. Everyone complains about Watkins getting more chances than Rashad Bateman does, and I guarantee you that's because of Roman. Roman doesn't want to give the rookie a chance, when in reality, Bateman is the man. Is the guy that could end up being the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on his team. Wide receiver 2 at worst. Greg Roman's style of play calling is what keeps us from getting wide receivers, which obviously isn't a problem anymore, but in the future with offensive linemen, they may not like that Roman doesn't like to pass the ball all that much. Roman seems to think that Lamar can get him out of any hole Roman gets himself to. He'll call a shitty play call, usually a screen or a 2-yard slant that won't do much of anything, and then he'll run a read option with Lamar that 9 times out of 10 doesn't work because the defense saw it coming from a while away. And why did they see it coming? Because it's been ran a million times. Teams have seen it on film. Teams have been calling out plays. It's mind-blowing. When Lamar first came into the league, the run-heavy offense worked because people didn't know Lamar, his play style, or what his tendencies were. But now that he's been in the league long enough, that we have to switch things up now. So the solution is hire an offensive coordinator that will run a more passing-based scheme and not as many design QB runs. Let Lamar pass first and run when he feels the need to. Time to take the training wheels off for good. Eventually, Lamar will not have crazy mobility and will have to consistently rely on his arm to win games. He's shown flashes to being a great passer, but hasn't been consistent with it. I mean, to be honest with you, I appreciate all that Roman has done for his first stage of Lamar's career. But it's time to go. It's time to cut ties. We can't run a college-based offense forever. They definitely cannot continue with how bad he's been as well. Oh, and one last word on Lamar's extension. The Ravens, if we get Lamar's extension done this offseason, according to Over the Cap, we gain 17 million cap space for 2022. So that's one last detail right here. So yeah, man, we save a lot of money. Benefits both sides of the deal. Give the man the blank check he deserves. Every penny he deserves. So going into the running back room right now. So obviously we have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. We did not have them at all this offseason. So hopefully they come back at full capacity, which from the recovery videos I've been seeing across social media, it looks like they're on the right track and they look better than ever. So it looks very promising for them. Assuming they will come back strong, I would like to see the Ravens add a nice number 3 running back to this rotation. It's not a positional need, but I would like to see the Ravens add a change of pace back to complement J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards this offseason. And also in a cheap way. Like, it doesn't need to be a top draft pick or, a big free agency signing. A cheap guy who can be a good running back 3, and he would fit right into that offense. It would be beneficial to both the running backs and Lamar, as it would give Lamar a fast receiving threat out of the backfield that he has so far not had in his career at all. You have a few options in free agency and the draft to add one, as I mentioned. And it's not as high as a priority, so you go cheap. And it's just something I would like to see. Justice Hill has not been the guy. He's not been the guy at all. He's shown some flashes back in 2019, but all we need is a fresh guy. Latavius Murray, you can maybe keep as another bruiser, because he's been pretty nice for us after the first few games with us. He's been pretty nice. Tyson Williams, they don't even seem to like at all. So I think you can just get rid of him, I guess. Like, I'm surprised he's not cut. So, alright. So, what we do with the running back room, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, we know the deal. They're very, very good. You just get a third guy. Just to complement them. A new, fresh guy. So that's what I want to see for the running back room. Other than that, I think we're good. Alright, so talking about this wide receiver group, it has been the best. It has been probably the best wide receivers the Ravens have had since 2012. I feel like Bateman has a chance to have a breakout season next year. Like, I'm talking 1K, going for 1K. Hollywood is also a solid wide receiver, and he has stats-wise proved every single season, especially the season that just passed. Before Lamar got hurt, he was on pace for like 1.3K, 1.4K, 1.5K. Crazy numbers. And after that, it went downhill. It would be nice to see him put in a little bit more effort when Lamar isn't playing. But it is what it is, I guess. Then you got Duvernay, Prochet, and Wallace. I would like Duvernay to get the ball more on screens and get more handoffs. He should be used more like a Deebo Samuel. But Greg Roman, he said he promised. He said he was going to open the vault. Bold to assume he even had a vault to begin with. We actually assumed this guy actually had a vault. He does not. Ever since saying that, we have not won a game. He has not tried anything he said he was going to do. He has not tried or done anything he said he was going to do. So, he's a lost cause. Greg Roman's a lost cause. But I really hope if we fire Roman and get a new OC, he actually uses Duvernay the way Deebo Samuel is used. Duvernay was used that way in college. You can look at his Texas Longhorns film. He was used that way, and he was breaking tackles, just destroying people the same way you see Deebo Samuel do that with the 49ers. So, man, it's sad that we don't use him this way. Next year, if Roman stays, he doesn't really have a choice. More teams are going to do that. More teams are going to look for guys like Deebo. So about Duvernay, he needs to be used this way, and it's pretty much his best asset. Prochet, he's gonna be, if he's used, very, very, very solid slot receiver. But it depends on if we like him. Like, for some reason, he's an example of us hating playing good players. Against the Bengals, Prochet had a career game. He proceeded to have a career game, and we still scratched him for the rest of the season. He did not see the field after. Once. After this game. Like, how does this make sense? We hate playing him. He does not deserve... Like, at some point, we should have realized Watkins was shit. We should have realized it was not good. Why the hell are we playing Watkins over Duvernay and Prochet? Why the hell is Watkins getting all the touches? Why is Watkins... he's even getting more touches than Bateman. And Prochet does not deserve to get that. He does not deserve. He does not deserve. At all. Like, he had a career game. And before that, he did not see the field a lot either. Before that. Had the Colts game, he saw the field a little bit. Broncos game, he did very, very good. He had a career game before the Bengals game, but then after the Bengals game became his career game because he did better. He was doing very well. He was our best receiver against he was our second best because Marquise Brown did very good too. He was our second best receiver against the Broncos. But then we just proceed to just put him on the bench. As if he did nothing. Like, he probably has more yards than Watkins. Like, and Watkins, except for like three clutch plays, has done nothing in this offense. It is so frustrating to see with Prochet. It's just unfair. It's just unfair. Lastly, Tylan Wallace, we've only seen a little bit of him. And the Bengals, again, that same game, and he had that one very, very good play where they couldn't tackle him at all. He looks very underrated. His yak ability looks very underrated. Really like it. He's an outside receiver, but his yak ability is very overlooked. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a decent season, a 500 yard season next year. Somehow, for the first time in a long time, the Ravens don't need to do much at wide receiver this offseason. At least it's not a massive need, like it was in the past few years. Like what we could do, maybe add a decent veteran that's like 6'2" to give Lamar a bigger body. Or draft a big body wide receiver on day 3. But if they didn't, it's not a big deal if they don't. Like, we really don't need to add anything on wide receiver. Like, you have an AB. Like, about that AB situation, I really don't know about it because we get these sweepstakes every year. To me, it has become a waste of time. It has totally become a waste of time, to be honest. It's just... if AB really wanted to come to Baltimore, he would have done it a long time ago. We at least would have been close to doing so. So it's like I really don't know about him. But overall, with the wide receivers, whoever is going to be wide receiver 3 next year, either Duvernay, Prochet, or Wallace, I think they can break out. They have a chance. they have a chance. Like even all three of them, they have a chance of having some contribution with a new offensive coordinator, of course, because Greg Roman just doesn't like playing good players at all. He just Duvernay. Oh no, you're not going to be used like Debo. Prochet. Oh, have a good game. Get scratched. Wallace, don't even see the field at all. So, and about wide receiver, we are really set, at least for now. Next up, I'm going to talk about the tight end position, tight end room a bit. Like a bit of a talk about them. I don't have much to say. So Mark Andrews, had a career year, was the best tight end this year. So he's established himself as a top 3 tight end in the league. Yes, better than Darren Waller. He's been amazing. He's been the guy. He's been the best player on this team this year. Playing with heart. He wants to be. He plays like a Raven. He wants to be a Raven. So he's good. So for our tight end room, Nick Boyle has been injured. Hasn't looked the same. He has not looked the same after coming back. His injury really effed him up a bit, but he was not really a catcher or something. He was just a blocker. He was a blocking tight end. He was the best blocking tight end in the league. So, but it still affected him a bit. But one possible move we can make is bring back Hayden Hurst. Bring back a guy like Hayden Hurst. Yes, I know we have Josh Oliver in the room, but if we don't play him, what's the point of just not getting a guy who we're familiar with and we're gonna play? Hayden Hurst, I'm 100% sure we're gonna play the guy. We're definitely gonna play the guy. So why not get him? We traded him to the Falcons 2 seasons ago, but the Falcons drafted Pitts last year, and Hurst's production and his touches went down. But I like Mark Andrews, of course. He's amazing. But last time Lamar won MVP, when Lamar won MVP, he did not only have Mark Andrews as a catching tight end. He had another catching tight end, and that was Hurst. Hayden Hurst was a threat for us. He was actually very good for second catching tight end. We had that tight end trio. So, we had that 3 tight end set, and we could, and we were able to run 12, 13 personnel. And Hurst is an unrestricted free agent, and he won't be expensive. He's not going to be expensive at all. And even with that, we could even lose Nick Boyle. And Patrick Card sometimes plays tight end. These two could be, you have Ricard who could be gone. He could walk. And you have Nick Boyle who could maybe be cut, or maybe another extension. Which an extension won't even save much, but him getting cut won't save anything. And I think a trade is the way to go if you want to get rid of him. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we bring back Hayden Hurst and bring him back to the Ravens. His best days were as a Raven as well. He looked very good with us. It looks like he's meant to be a Raven, because he was never the same with the Falcons. So, man, I would love to see that reunion. As a fan, I would love to see a Hayden Hurst to Ravens reunion. Next thing right here, offensive line. So, offensive line-wise, it's a top priority. And it's not even a debate. And it is so clear how amazing Lamar is when his O-line is actually blocking for him. Example, 2019. Our wide receivers were not good at all, but our offense was still unstoppable. And why? Because we had Stanley, Bozeman, Probo Skura, Yanda in his last year, Marshall Yanda in his last year, and Orlando Brown blocking for Lamar. And it was the top offensive line in the league that season. In 2020, Lamar played at an above average level, not great, but the O-line was not good, especially after Stanley got injured and was ruled out for the rest of the year. Then in 2021, think about the Raiders game week 1. We could not block anybody. Alejandro Villanueva made Mason Crosby look like Lawrence Taylor in his prime. Then for a stretch there, our offensive line was playing pretty well. Chiefs, Lions, Broncos, Colts, Chargers, when he was considered the MVP in the league. In that stretch of games. Then the Bengals came in, and we just couldn't block them and got crushed. Well, part of it was because Greg Roman could not adjust against cover 0 at all. They ran their cover 0. The NFL is a copycat league, by the way. Just nobody ran cover 0 the way the Dolphins did. As much as the Dolphins did. But every team ran cover 0 against us after the Dolphins game. But just their version of it. Their way. And not as much. But yeah. After that game, the O-line was horrible for the rest of the season. Lamar became uncomfortable, did not trust his blind side, causing him to not read the defense as well, and also caused him to force passes that result in interceptions. The point of this argument is that it's just attacking the offensive line this offseason, doing whatever it takes to get Lamar an offensive line via free agency, via draft, is the right move. We need to get a solid plan B option in case Stanley isn't right. Plan B better than Villanueva, by the way. We need a young left guard to compete with Cleveland. You know, just some reinsurance. But I really like Cleveland. I think he's going to be that left guard for a long time. But we might need some reinsurance right there. Because he got injured. He got hurt. We need to bring back Bozeman. For sure. Like, he's a guy we can easily build the offensive line around. Zeitler is great. So, he's fine where he is. But then, we need a right tackle. Look, I like Jawan James. But he got hurt. He hasn't played for a very, very long time. We don't know how he's going to be. And Patrick McCarry, sometimes he's good. Sometimes he wasn't even that much better than Villanueva. So I do not have full trust on these two guys. And if we face the offensive line, it's going to be elite in 2022. Lamar will be playing like the top 3 quarterback again. So yeah, it's that simple. Protect your quarterback. See what other teams did. Mahomes, like, it's so mind-blowing how Patrick Mahomes, in the Super Bowl, he got pressured, running for his life, all day. And what they did, with barely any cap space, signed one of the best guards in the league. Literally brought any guy you could imagine. But Lamar against the Bills got killed. Literally almost as much. And what did we do? We got Alejandro Villanueva. That was our answer. It's that mind-blowing. You have, again, every day in this league, you see how much offensive line is important. Joe Burrow gets killed all day. we do not want to see the same with Lamar. So offensive line is it's the big piece on offense that needs to be fixed. It's pretty much the only piece that it's pretty much the only place where it's a big need. Receiver's not a big need. I mean, if we're gonna get it, Devontae Adams, oh yeah, why not? Because he's the best receiver in football. Why the hell not? Why would I say no about to that? But offensive line, it's the main focus of this offense. Re-sign Bozeman because he can be the guy you build the offense around. So that's the talk for offense. Let's get right into defense now. Okay, so defensive line talk. It's not going to be that long with the defensive line, but it's going to be a need. It's going to be a need, and it's really going to be a need. It's probably our second biggest need. It's definitely top 3 because corner, tackle, defensive line. Our defensive line is very, very old, especially inside. Calais Campbell might retire. Brendan Williams, he's 32, and he's had some massive regression this past season. He was the anchor of this D-line for the past 7 years. He's been on this team for a while, and now he's finally just showed that regression right there. So for defensive line, we have some good options in the draft, good option in free agency. But it's another position where it's gonna need a rebuild. It's really gonna need a rebuild into that position. We have good option in the draft. Honestly, I would love to go DeMonte Wyatt maybe in the second round, or guys like him. BJ Hill is a guy underrated right there in free agency. He's 25, so he could be a guy. But it's going to be interesting how we address this position, because it's really not looking good. Honestly, if Calais is not retiring, I wouldn't mind bringing him back. Brendan Williams, if he wants a cheap deal like Justin Ellis, then yeah, okay, come back, But other than that, it's gonna need a very, very big rebuild. And honestly, even if they come back, I would love for us to draft somebody. At least draft somebody, draft or sign somebody, So onto linebacker. It's not a big need, but it's maybe a need in the second tier. Why? Because other than Queen and Harrison, we do not have really another guy other than that who's gonna be here long term. Okay. In reality, we're gonna need somebody alongside Queen, whether it's by free agency or draft. Because as much as you might love them, a guy like Josh Bynes and LJ Ford, they won't cut it long term. They may cut it now, you may just re-sign them, but these Band-Aid guys will not cut it on the long run. So it's going to be interesting how we address, that position. It's not the biggest need, but it's gonna really need a little bit of help. Edgewise, it's gonna need help as well. Tyus Bowser, he's gonna be missing a part of next season, so it kind of forces us to bring back Justin Houston. We still have OA there. what we could do is maybe bring in David Ojabo, his friend from high school, or something like that. It wouldn't be a bad pick, but it's we're probably gonna bring back Justin Houston, probably, or sign somebody else cheap. But like the problem with linebacker, it's the lack of depth, and some guys are too old that won't cut it. So about corners here, I honestly think it's a massive need, the biggest need for the Ravens, a biggest need. And honestly, I think the Ravens will prioritize this position during the offseason. It seems like every year the Ravens are always decimated by injuries at this position, and EDC has always said you can never have enough corners, which means he likes his corners. He likes taking his corners. When he sees a corner and he has a chance and he likes him, he's gonna take him, whether it's draft, free agency, anywhere. And again, I think again, if a guy like Ahmad Gardner is available at pick 14, I think the Ravens take him. And even in free agency, we bring in 1 or 2 corners. And not to mention, it's a team that ranked dead last in passing offense this year, and a cornerback group that could look honestly, after that type of season, the cornerback group could be completely overhauled, and I think it will. I totally think it will. Only 2 guys are guaranteed to stay: Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Peters makes no sense. It makes no sense to bring him back. It just wouldn't make sense. It just wouldn't make sense for Marcus Peters to not come back next season. The move wouldn't be understandable. Like, it wouldn't make sense financially because you cleared $10 million. But, it would still not be enough to sign a player who would improve the team more than him. The Ravens secondary struggled without him. He got injured. The Ravens secondary finished dead last in pass defense. His playmaking ability and leadership looked very, very valuable and was greatly missed. And again, not only did we finish 32nd in pass defense, but we finished 29th in turnovers forced. And when healthy, Peters is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And he's very much worth this contract. And honestly, if you cut him, it's gonna be even more work to fixing this cornerback group, because it's gonna be overhauled. The secondary is gonna be overhauled. Why would you cut him to like a $10 million to get maybe 2 to get a corner who's not better than him? Like, it makes no. It makes no sense. Like, like, what I'm seeing is either we restructure Peter's contract or we just extend him. Extending him makes a lot of sense. It clears a lot of money as well. So I see the Ravens extending him. And that talk around him getting cut made absolutely no sense. And EDC in his press conference, he said that he's a Raven, and I'm really not surprised. I have really not surprised. And also, genuine question. Without him, with that much of a regression without Marcus Peters for an entire season, why would we cut him after this much of a regression to the secondary without him? So he's very valuable to this defense. Extremely valuable. So let's just shut down that talk real quick. So talk about the other corners. Tavon Young, I feel like he's gonna get cut. I feel like he's a cap casualty. I feel like it's just a time to part ways. I feel like it's the end for Tavon Young. He had a solid year, a solid comeback year after spending like last year and year before that on injury reserve. But you saved $6 million for somebody who was not that good this season either. Like he was solid at best, and after that, you would see him get cut. Not cut, but burnt 1,000 times. So it's totally worth cutting him financially, and for me it feels like it's the end. It's the end for Tavon Young in Baltimore. He was pretty solid overall, but I think it's just time to part ways. Injured many times, and it pretty much what derailed his career a lot and his play time. Anthony Averett, he's very inconsistent, extremely inconsistent. He started it for most of the year, pending free agent, and his market value is $12.5 million per year. It's not worth bringing him back. He's likely priced his way out of Baltimore. He was good at some times, bad at some times, very inconsistent. But he showed how good he could be. For the past years, the Ravens were really invested into this guy. But he never, until this year, showed anything. We were really invested into this guy, into trying to make him great as a third-round pick. Only until this year, he showed some flashes. But yeah, man, it's not that big of a loss. I think there are corners who are better than him in the market right now. I'm talking about guys who are gonna hit free agency. So yeah, I'm not saying there's like a million corners better than him, but it's pretty much that. Let's talk about Jimmy Smith now. He's probably retiring. I honestly think it's the end. And I really don't see him signing anywhere. Like, again, we could just bring him back again, like, casually bring him back for, like, 1 year, $5 million, something like that. And we've been doing that for the past few years with him. So, alright. I don't expect Jimmy Smith to even play football next season at all. That's pretty much what I'm going to say. But Jimmy Smith, longtime Raven, he will be missed. He was always an underrated guy, like he would actually play well. He would play well when he was on the field, but suffered with a lot of injuries, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, man, he's one of the only guys left on that 2012 Super Bowl team. I like Jimmy Smith. I really like Jimmy Smith in his time in Baltimore. He will be missed. But yeah, overall, it's a unit that's gonna be it's gonna need some pretty heavy emphasis this offseason. Fortunately, we have a lot of picks. We could invest on a lot of corners too. I would want to go after Ahmad Gardner at pick 14 because, again, you wouldn't want to face a cornerback group of Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, and Ahmad Gardner. You would not want to face that. And again, with everything I said here, I think, again, my point stands of corner being the biggest need of the Ravens. The biggest need. Because look, other than 2 corners, you have one guy who's retiring, another guy who might be cut because of cap and savings, and you have another guy who, he's gonna be pretty expensive. And we could maybe go get better. And then the rest of the roster of the cornerback room is not good. Chris Westry is another free agent, but he was horrible. Put any speedy receiver on this guy, and he's burnt toast. He's toast. He was not good for us, even though having a pretty good training camp. But he ended up just being horrible for us. Just not good. Especially that, after the first game, got injured, came back, continued being horrible. Again, I would love to get just other corners. Again, it's just we have everybody leaving except for 2. So it's the biggest need. It's pretty much the biggest need. I wouldn't be mad if you told me O-line was, but the way I see it, it's cornerback. Cornerback is the biggest need. And last position I'm going to talk about into this long video right here, because it's almost going to reach 50 minutes in the recording. Last thing I'm going to address here is safety. So, like other people, I'm not that big on safety, as a need. Like, okay, if we make a signing there, all right, I'm not going to be mad. But I'm not that big at safety. Honestly, I like Chuck Clark. I like Deshaun Elliott. We could maybe... Honestly, I think worst case scenario, we could just bring Deshaun Elliott back, and we could run it back with him. To me, it makes a lot of sense to do that. He was not horrible. He had coverage issues at times, but he was one of the best tacklers on this team. And, for a good part of the season, he was one of the only guys who could tackle. And he's a hard hitter. He's a fun player. He's a fun player to watch. And his issues are coachable totally. So why would I just, to me, I wouldn't give him a long-term deal, but, short-term prove-it deal, because he got injured every season except for one. He got injured every season except for one. So it's like, he's not gonna, he hasn't earned a long-term deal. But has he earned to be just let walk like that? Absolutely not. But you have some decent options you have some good options at safety. Tyrann Mathieu, if he comes over, all right, I wouldn't be mad. A guy like Marcus Williams, I wouldn't be mad. Marcus May, I wouldn't be mad at all. Like this situation, whatever happens, I will not be mad unless we have good players. Because Deshaun Elliott coming back isn't the worst news. Him not coming back and us bringing him a stud, like, if we're not going to bring Deshaun Elliott back, we better find a very, very good replacement for him. Or else you just bring him back. Because if you're not able to sign a Marcus Williams, a Tyrann Mathieu, a Marcus May, then there's no point letting him go. That's pretty much my 2 cents on this situation. But yeah, man. So that's going to be it for the video right here. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. You can tell me your thoughts down below. I'm sorry for the long video, but I just needed to go through every position right here in depth. So that's, it would be good news, I guess. But, yeah, man. That's what's next for the Ravens. And what I think they should do.
So, yeah. Subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts. Click the like button. Click the bell to enable notifications. I'm going to have videos like these throughout the off season. We have the draft as well, and then next season too. You know, like it's never gonna end. Ravens content is never gonna end here. And yeah, I'm gonna head out.